Guys, Marsinged here bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video, and so today we are going to be taking a look at the physical pan. This is the last of the GT EZA's showcases that I hadn't gotten around to doing. This one seemed interesting on paper, but I think the big thing that kind of put me off once we'd seen all the details was the fact that, like, she gets most of her abilities after she attacks. And obviously one of the hardest fights in the game at the moment does have AoEs, which could potentially be an issue, but we'll take a look and see what she does. So she greatly raises attack and defense for 1 turn, which is obviously good. Supreme damage, and raises allies attack by 25% for 2 turns. So attack buff even for the allies on the next rotation is pretty good. She has 150% attack and defense, a medium chance to dodge, so that's 30%, and gives all allies 2 ki. When attacking, she gets 150% attack and defense. When HP is 50% or more, an extra 50% attack and defense, and all allies attack and defense 30%. So if you start the turn on low HP, you're not actually getting support, right? So this is the other thing you have to be careful of. When HP is 30% or more, she gets 50% attack and defense and gives allies attack and defense 30%. So if you're at 30% or more, she's giving 30% and 2 ki. If you're at 50% or more, she's giving 60% and 2 ki to all allies. So that is really good. When there's another GT hero or youth ally in the same turn, she gets another 100% attack and defense, chance to evade enemies' attack, and damage reduction 20% when attacking. And then when all allies are GT heroes or youth, it's the same buff again, 100% stats, and then dodge and damage reduction 20%. So that's 40% extra dodge and damage reduction, but it's when attacking, right? And she has a medium chance to dodge already. So after she attacks, she has a 70% chance to dodge, but it's all after she attacks. So that's the thing where, like I say, AoEs are going to be a significant issue, because start of turn here with GT, Kamehameha and Fierce Battle, we have basically 300k defense. She gets 150% on super, and then obviously gets the extra buffs as well. She greatly raises from her super attack effect. So she's getting what, 450 on super. She gets about 150 from her actual super as well. So she's going up to about 900k defense, with the 40% damage reduction and a 70% chance to dodge. So much like a lot of Pan, like supports, even like Xeno Pan for heroes, she is going to largely rely on dodge, because like 40% damage reduction is good, but when coupled with like sub 1 million defense, then obviously not going to be necessarily all that crazy. That's with the support from the Vegeta on rotation as well. She's at 18.5 million. So that thing with the 25% attack thing for 2 turns is going to be pretty helpful though. Like obviously, especially on the GT Heroes team. With the amount of damage that this team can output with the Super Saiyan 4 Gogetas and everything, the 25% support for 2 turns obviously is very, very good. But we'll see how we get on, right? So take out Goku Black here. We've got the STR Pan on the team as well. Now, you could run a GT Heroes team quite nicely with both of these guys floating, but I do want to try and get... Obviously, we don't want them 2 together because they share the same name. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Oh, yeah, I need to attack Zamasu, don't I? I want to stay in this phase for a little bit. Now, Pan, this STR Pan getting her super attack off here obviously gives a defensive buff to the allies on the next rotation. So physical Pan will have a slightly better starting defense, but obviously she doesn't have any like permanent build up or anything like that, so I feel like she very much is just going to be dodge or die against the hardest bosses in the game, especially when it comes to eating their supers. But you know, she does have a 70% chance to dodge. It's like the UI Goku scenario all over again. It's kind of funny to think that when UI Goku came out, it was the first character that was like actually good and like did good damage that had such a high chance to dodge, and yet of course the meme exists because there was still all those times where you could potentially fail the dodge chance and get killed. I mean, look how much damage Gogeta's doing here. This is with barely any links active because he doesn't have Saiyan Raw or anything like that. Because we targeted the Rose, we basically almost killed him in that 1 turn with the Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. So fortunately, we can keep attacking Zamasu now, and there's no AoE units on the team, so Rose not going to catch any strays here and then just get killed. But Because like I've said before, I like to showcase this this stage for some of these teams and units just because we get a couple of extra turns out of the having the Immortal Zamasu enemy. So it works quite nicely. Obviously it's not necessarily then realistic for what we'll see in an actual event, but the point of the showcase is just to get to see the unit on a couple of different rotations with some different setups and see what kind of things we're getting out of them. Obviously the STR Pan not as good on the first turn, but on the next turn she should hopefully get multiple supers, which will of course benefit everyone on the rotation even more so. So these guys should eat this, right, because it's their first turn. They got the 77% damage reduction, and then we are back over to this rotation. So we're starting off with 450k defense start of turn here. So considering we get 150% on super, we are now getting like a little over 1 million. Then we've got the super attack effect as well. But like I said, even with those kind of numbers, we are still really talking about like dodge or die when it comes to big super attacks. But it's just one of those things. Pan is just one of those support units, right? There's a few of them in the game. That doesn't mean they're necessarily bad. They're just a unit on the team that gives support and basically just completely relies on dodge in order to not get killed by the toughest hitting enemies in the game. But, you know, that's how it is for a lot of supports. As long as Pan... I mean, 60% attack and defense to all allies is pretty significant. I guess the downside is if you end up starting the turn on low health and she's not giving the support, then she's essentially not fulfilling the role that she's on the team for. So that would be pretty disappointing, I guess. I don't know. I think the problem with this Pan, so 19.4, not terrible again for a support. Like the way you'd be using her on this team normally is she's just going to be floating. And then, yeah, ideally dodging all of the attacks on the turn. But I feel like it's a very similar situation to what I was saying about the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku yesterday, is that I think this is a solid EZA. I don't think it's bad in any way, shape or form, but the GT Heroes team has so many options now. Like, I feel like there's not space for her on this team, right? Like, there's so many other units that you would potentially throw on the team instead of her. Even the Super EZA, like Vegeta, because of the fact that he's providing defense support, he's not providing any offense. But, like, I would put him on the team before saving a spot for her. The team is just so good with the amount of strong units. Like, supports obviously make a team with strong units even better, but the GT Heroes team currently has so many strong options. Now, the interesting thing is, passive, all of those buffs that she gets, it does say GT Heroes or Youth. So she could actually be really good for like the AGL Kid Goku team, which of course the DB Saga team got a bit of a revamp during the during Saiyan Day. Obviously hasn't had any sort of major updates. I mean, we got the Tien and Tao, but they're kind of designed to be doing their own thing. But a more youth-focused team for the Saiyan Day Kid Goku could certainly be pretty interesting with the Pan on the team, providing the support, having the dodge and the damage reduction. Units like the AGL Kid Goku, who does build up pretty quickly, would go pretty ham with the Pan support. So that could be quite helpful if we get some more youth buffs in the future as well. That team could certainly be very interesting. But yeah, Pan attacking like 5 times here, the triple super, so we get a lot of defense to carry over to the next turn now. No stun against Zamasu, unfortunately, but then we have Vegeta with the 30 mil. Obviously, bear in mind, Vegeta gets the full advantage of Pan supering multiple times there as well. So Vegeta, pretty good defense here at this point. Should be able to tank relatively well. Obviously, could potentially counter a super if there's one incoming. But there isn't, because we've got Pan on the rotation and has a Scour, so we know there isn't. Okay, so start of turn now, we're looking at 599, so basically 600k. So then she's getting like 900k on super, so we're like 1.5 million, maybe just over, once we factor in the super attack effect as well. So that's not bad. I guess the problem is if you're running Pan in a normal situation where you're running her as a slot 3 floating unit, there's only going to be a few instances where if you are running the STR Pan as well as a slot 3 floating unit, there's only going to be every now and then, like every few turns, where the STR Pan is on rotation before the physical Pan is then literally on the next one, where she can then actually benefit from her 2-turn defensive support. So it's interesting to see that that is what she can kind of get up to here in this situation. But if we're using her as a floating 3rd slot support for the team, then obviously we're not really going to be seeing those numbers all that often. But of course, you know, it can be weighted differently in a lot of events. But you can see here, like for this stage in particular, this particular rotation, we've only got 1 attack in slot 3. This is the perfect rotation for Pan to just be in slot 3. The Super Saiyan 4s, like Gogeta and the 7-year, obviously share a whole bunch of links and would be together. And then Pan's just there providing all the extra support in slot 3. Fairly consistently dodging. Is going to be able to tank from a decent amount of normals in the game for double-digit damage after supering. But that's the thing. Without that extra support from the previous turns, like from the STR Pan, if we start talking about some of the bosses that do end up hitting pretty hard with their normals, Pan is definitely not going to be in a situation where she's going to be able to tank all of those. So I think she's a solid EZA for sure. I mean, all of these units that we waited so long, these GTA EZAs, GTA, we were talking about GTA on the stream this morning, all these GT EZAs that we've waited like 8 years for them to get an EZA, they are pretty good. I do actually want to transform Goku because I want to get the buff from his 18 key super for the next turn. So we'll go ahead and do this, just so we can get even more buffs onto Pan, which, like I said, in most situations you're not going to see that. But I mean, if you're using her as the 3rd slot floater and you're using like the AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku as well, or Super Saiyan 4 Goku once he transforms, there are going to be scenarios where she's on the rotation like after him, so we'll be taking advantage of that support buff. So it's good to get it in here and see what we can get. Obviously the Giant Ape going to do a decent bit of damage here for free, although potentially going to do, we might have to float Gogeta maybe. Trying to think, because I want both Pan and the Super Saiyan 4 Goku to be able to get their supers so that we can get like the full advantage of their super attack effects. But then of course we have the problem that Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta just does so much damage. Ideally there's like no attack in slot 1, because then I could just put Pan in slot 1. But I guess we'll see after the good old unskippable Grandpa cutscene. Okay, so there is an attack in slot 1. I mean, it's 1 attack. Goku should be fine, right? I don't think this guy hits for like 1,000,000 damage normals. He may do, because he can't super. Ooh, 326, okay. Well, we live, which is the important thing. Although, of course, that means we now are potentially not getting the full Pan support, which she does give herself. Actually, we are at 56%, yeah, so we've managed to maintain being just above 50% HP, which is what we want. We know that Zamasu can't super this turn, so ideally Pan gets a couple of supers off here, because then we've got the 44% support from Super Saiyan 4 Goku. We're going to have the multiple supers support from STR Pan. So this will be the absolute highest like defense that we can see from physical Pan going into this next turn. We've got a double super from STR Pan, okay. Only 2, unfortunately, but let's see if Gogeta can finish him off here. Obviously, with the more links active and stuff, Gogeta would be doing a lot more damage than this, but we're just trying to see what we can get out of Pan. So it's going to be pretty close. I mean, if he crits, he might actually kill him here. Yeah, good stuff. Look at that, Gogeta still, even in that like scenario without the links and everything, still absolutely killing it. You love to see that. Alright, so Pan, yeah, 568 start of turn. So that's pretty good. I guess we just grab this for you. grab these. And then grab this for you. We'll see if Pan gets the dodges from all these attacks in the middle. Of course, Gogeta's going to get supered straight away. Fortunately, we have guard, so, you know, we still just take double-digit damage. Well, he's got all the defensive support from the previous turn as well, remember, because we've got the Goku 44% and all the defensive support from STR Pan. So, yeah, Gogeta just casually eating the type disadvantage, slot 1 super for double-digit damage. This Zamasu hits for like, what, 6 point something million, I think? Which is tank for double digits, so let's go. And then what is Pan going to do here on this turn? This is the biggest buffed turn we're going to see for her on this setup, like realistic team setup. 20.7, okay. But again, she's a support unit. She's not on the team to do big damage, so I can't really complain about that. She doesn't have any built-in additionals or anything either, so you are regularly just going to see her do 1 super. But then, as we see there, if she's providing the big support to the team, she's doing a little bit of damage, 20 mil, it's not terrible. And then she dodged all of the attacks, which is essentially all we really want from her on the team build. So I would say that that's definitely not too bad. I don't think there's much more we can really see from her here. But yeah, that's the physical Pan EZA. Nothing too crazy, nothing really special. I think, like I say, the GT Heroes team now is just so stacked with good choices that you don't really have room for her on the team. So that's not to say that she's not good. There's just so many other better options. But if you're missing any of those top tier options, then she will be a very good support. Just a bit dangerous to use in events with an AoE, because she only has the 30% dodge chance before she attacks. But other than that, she could be relatively good. So let me know your guys' thoughts down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.